According to a renowned writer, writing is the closest a man can ever come to childbearing. Obviously, a man cannot bear children because God and biology did not enable them to do so. But then, when a man writes, a man gets close to childbearing. Welcome again to Behind the Words, a program that speaks to you from a literary angle, a program that analyzes literature and appreciates a work of art. I am Hassan Abdusalam, and with me is the regular face of a prolific writer, Mr. Eric Andova Nsuta. Mr. Eric Andova Nsuta is a prolific writer. He has written so many books, and one of his books, The Ghost Gone, we have treated that when we began this very program. In our last episode, we started treating his very first book, that is The Tears of Destiny. We read out the plot of this book, and on this show, on this very episode, we are going to start flipping through the pages of the book. Mr. Eric, you're welcome to this very episode.
Thank you
Of Behind the Words. In our last episode, we were able to read out the plot of The Tears of Destiny, where we were able to look, peripherally at how the book was written and some of a few characters, especially the protagonist of the novel. And let's see how we can start flipping through the pages. I will take you to page 2 of the book, Mr. Eric. Page 2 of the book, and the very first sentence.
Okay.
I will read. June 2005, a brave young man dashed into a secondary school with the aspiration to bring life into reality, only to be curbed by agony, the sabotage of death, which stole the ambition planted by the young man about the dream of succeeding from elegy to epic. This is the very first sentence.
Yes.
Before you start explaining what this sentence means and where we are going from this sentence, I want to know. It started with June 2005. In our last episode, I asked you if this book was a fiction or a non-fiction. Well, you made me understand that the book is a fiction and non-fiction, right? Combination of both, if I'm right. Now, in June 2005, what happened?
All right. In June 2005, the kind of picture I was trying to create is I wanted to portray a kind of scene or scenario that we touch people's mind. That is to say that when destiny is where humanity meet with divinity.
Wow.
And when humanity meet with divinity, a common person is turned into a personality. And that is what happened in June 2005.
Mr. Eric,
Yes.
you said in June 2005, you were trying to portray how a man,
Yes.
according to destiny,
Yes.
where destiny meets with
humanity,
and humanity meets with what? Divinity. Wow.
Yes. So, the protagonist of the novel started where they were living a kind of a life of hand to mouth. Now, they were yet to discover their own destiny as a family. But notwithstanding, they have faith, and the father was always up and doing. And he believed so much so in his own ability and capacity, which were able to sustain him and the family until Yoyina come on stream. And when Yoyina came on stream, that was the beginning of his destiny. And when his destiny now crushed with his own humanity, now the divinity of a common personality was produced.
Wow. Yeah. But here, let me still take you back to the same sentence.
Yes.
Here you said, aspiration to bring life into reality, only to be curbed by agony, the sabotage of death. Why did you say death is a saboteur? Because here you said the sabotage of death, which means death itself is a saboteur.
Yes.
Why did you put it that way?
Okay, you see, the only thing that could be able to, as in, cut one's dreams or success in life is death.
Okay.
And death is the highest level or the highest thing that could happen to somebody, and one's destiny could be not be achieved. So at that point in time, I used doubt. I used death in the sense that I wanted to paint a picture that in life, no matter the circumstances one is passing through, no matter the difficulties that you are going through, there is one thing that could shelter your dream, and which is death. And that is why I laid emphasis. But once there is life, there is always hope. No matter the amount of pains, penury that one is undergoing, so far as you have life, there is absolutely nothing that can truncate your dream of becoming a success.
Okay, now, it seems from this very first sentence, this was where the title of the book was coined from.
Exactly.
Because obviously you can feel, you can begin to taste the tears of destiny from the very first, no, truthfully, from the very first sentence, because in his ability to bring to reality his dreams,
Yes.
death struck.
That's true.
And when death struck, what happens? There's sorrow.
There's sorrow.
So he was clothed with sorrow, and his life became shattered.
Yes, yes.
His dreams were shattered. His life became in shambles, and he could not even move forward because death has struck
And has shattered his dream.
his dreams.
Yes.
All right. Let me take you again, Mr. Eric, to page 8, the fourth, and the fifth sentence of page 8,
Alright.
where you said, even if the tongue and the teeth quarreled, they still live in the same mouth. Grandmother lamented. And then you continued. I'll continue. It said, all this while, Yoyina was crying bitterly in the parlor, wondering what would happen to his father if he lost him. He pacified, therefore, calling on God's intervention with a paean, saying, the evil that men do, leave after them.
Yes. You see, the protagonist of the novel, from the family background,
Yes.
where he came from, they were always having issues. They were not in good terms. And once the family is divided, achieving success becomes very difficult. And that was the kind of family that the protagonist came from. So, in the course of struggling to achieve success, life was very, very unbearable for them, because we have so many voices that were divided within the context of their own family. Nobody was subscribing to one's idea. So, most of the times, their grandmother is always calling them. She assembled them together, make sure that she advised them. Most of the time, Yoyina and the mother and the father, when they disagree, the grandmother always make them understand that the essence of life is when you disagree to agree. And even if you have issues, and you could see, she cited an example that even when the teeth and the tongue engage into kind of disagreement, they still live in the same mouth. That is to say that as far as, no matter the intensity of the issues that comes on stream, there is no way that you people could separate as a family. You will still be one family. But the most important thing is the ability for you to stand strong and to be able to ratify that particular problem and live in peace as one family. In that, you can be able to achieve success, because one person or a single tree cannot form a forest.
Forest, yes. But here, you mentioned, let me still drag you a little bit on
Okay.
this narration. You mentioned, you said he pacified, therefore, calling on God's intervention with a paean. Now let's look at the word paean. When we say pain, I don't know in the context you have used it here, but obviously it is something that is sorrowful, something that is a bit worse than even allergy itself.
Yes.
And when you say with intervention with a pain, you said saying the evil that men do leave after them. This very word, this sentence, the evil that men do leave after them, who is this one being referred to?
Okay. Yoyinan's father, they were two in number. That is to say that the grandmother, she gave birth to two, the first and the second born.
Yes.
And it happened that Yoyina's father was the last. But there is one striking point about him because he believed in his own capacity as a man. And he believes that no matter what, the relentless effort of a man will surely raise him from grass to grace.
All right. Mr. Eric, grass to grace. Let's go out on a quick break. We'll come back from grass to grace.
All right.
And I hope you're with us. We are beginning to discuss the Tears of Destiny. We started the Tears of Destiny in our last episode. We read out the plot of the Tears of Destiny. And right now, we are beginning to flip through the pages of the book, the Tears of Destiny. Let's go out on a quick break, and when we'll come back, we'll continue. Welcome back to Behind the Words. In case you're just tuning in, we have started discussing the Tears of Destiny. In fact, we have begun to read out some parts of the book, of the literature book, and it is very interesting. It will interest you that Mr. Eric is right here to analyze this book for us. Mr. Eric, you're welcome back. Still, grass to grace.
All right, grass to grace.
Yes.
Okay, you see, most of the times, in the course of trying to become a successor in life, sometimes people who are looking for your downfall are even people are within the cycle of your own family. And you could see in this perspective, I try to use the father of Yoyina, who is the protagonist, his own brother, as the antagonist of the novel. He was always the person that is always seeking for the downfall of the protagonist. There is nothing that Yoyina's father would do that could inspire him or could stimulate him. He was always looking after the downfall of the family. He believes that when he destroys his younger brother and that of his family, then he will do away with everything that they struggle to achieve in life. So he was always on their downfall. So you could see that in the cost of me trying to create a picture that will portray his evil deeds was when the protagonist was saying that the evil that men do will surely live after them.
So the reference of this very saying, the reference is to the brother.
Yes, was made to the brother. For him to understand that no matter what he's doing to them as a family, will surely go back to him one day. And that was why he was referring to him in this manner.
Okay, but still on this. Why did the brother, the Yoyina's older brother, I guess, older brother, right?
Yes.
Why has he been so mean to his brother?
You see, sometimes it is quite difficult to understand life as a whole. You could imagine as your own blood brother. Sometimes, in the course of trying to become somebody in life, because people are so jealous, people are so envious. People are so mean to an extent that when you want to achieve success in life, they are also looking for your downfall. Not that sometimes one will tend to wonder why is your Ina's brother, I mean, father's brother will benefit in the course of trying to tarnish the image of their own family. But that is to say that sometimes, because on a general note, people are not satisfied. No matter amount of what somebody acquired in life, somebody is still not satisfied. Be the firstborn, he has everything as within his disposal. Because in some village, especially in Africa, we have this common belief that the firstborn, everything is always allotted to the firstborn.
Yeah, so he takes over everything.
Yes, there are
He's
some
in control.
benefits that they enjoy more than any other person, being the first child. And he was not an exception. He was given so many benefits and so many chances to do anything life could offer to him. But he was not still satisfied. And that is to say that no matter the amount of what one acquires in the society, one will still be looking for more. And for you to be able to achieve that, it is when you destroy other people's dream so that you could sit on top of it. And that was exactly what he was trying to do. But I cannot bring somebody outside to be the antagonist of the protagonist, in the sense that I was trying to create a family dispute.
You see, this was. Thank you very much for going that route. I was actually about to take you to that route because why did you create the antagonist within the same axis, same family? There's a protagonist there, and his older brother became the antagonist of the novel. Why?
You see, the origin of the origin of where you come from,
yes,
will determine how far you go in life. And if the foundation is faulty or is having issue, then so long as one lives on earth, it will be quite challenging for you to face or to determine where you want to go. And sometimes, most of the times, the challenges that people are facing in the society always come from the family. It is quite difficult for somebody afar to come and start trying to make you pass through difficulties. But it is very easy for someone within the cycle of your own family to sit on your destiny and to destroy your life, because he knows the inside and the out of you. And that was the reason why I decided to create a family dispute, to paint a picture that in our own contemporary society today, most of the times when you are struggling to become something in life, your own people who should be able to put hands together for you to for them to see you prosper, they are the same people who are always making sure that you did not achieve what you said to achieve.
They would like to pull you down.
Yes. And we must come to understand this as human beings, because sometimes we tend to look outside without paying attention that our downfall is even woven within this family cycle.
Okay. You see, sometimes it is better that we start opening these the pages, flipping through the pages of the book, and try to see how we can analyze it. Because in our last episode, where we read out the plot, it never came up that Yoyina even had an older brother, yes, who happens to be the antagonist in the novel. Because in our previous episode, we discussed that the antagonist of Yoyina, of this very book, was actually the destiny itself.
Yes.
But then it's now dawning on me that the antagonist is not just destiny.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
It is even his older brother who pulled, who tried to pull down his success and, cut down the tree of success that has been growing in him.
Sometimes in the course of trying to create antagonists in the work of art, I did not want to create a specific antagonist who will be the opposer of the leading character.
Yes.
I wanted to make it a combination of forces that we are trying to pull him down. And that is a common fact about life. In life, when you want to succeed, you just have to be focused and determined, because
There are hurdles.
there are hurdles and they are coming from different angles.
Indeed, that's why they said you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs.
Exactly.
You can't make success without passing through difficulties.
Yes.
So, and difficulties, they said difficulties. That is plural.
Yes.
It is not even singular.
It's not.
Yes.
So most of these forces and the challenges, we must understand that some of these challenges are just part of life. And as you go through the phase of life, you must come across all the challenges and the phases, so that at the end, you will be strong and you will celebrate yourself when you become an achiever.
Let me drive you to page 10. Page 10, the entire page. Let me start reading. We'll take it one after the other. Let me read. Don't cry, my son. God will see us through. It was a long and weary journey, and Tewase, I don't know if
Exactly.
yes, Tewase Itio felt like a sleepwalker most of the way. The moon was definitely rising, and although it had not yet appeared in the sky, its light had already melted down the darkness. She had prayed for the moon to rise. Let me come to this, how you have woven, the words here. Yes, you said like a sleepwalker most of the way. The moon was definitely rising. It was rising, you said. And although it had not yet appeared in the sky, but its light had already melted down the darkness. That was a wonderful one.
Yes.
Yes. Then you said she had prayed for the moon to rise. Why?
All right, that is where the lacuna of the protagonist started. There was a night that Yoina's father went to bed, and he could not wake up. Even the food that was served to him, he could not eat. That was a horrible night. So Yoina's father was half dead, and the wife was so curious. She was wondering. She was praying that at least let her see the appearance of the moon, because the whole place was dark. There was nothing. The sound generated in her heart was much of confused that she could not even think. So she was actually wishing that the moon should arise so that she could be able to determine where she would take the father of Yoina for treatment. So you could see how I was trying to create a picture that would give us the state of mind that she was confused. I was creating a confusion within her, so that if actually the moon appears, she could be able to figure out something to know where she could take the husband exactly.
Yes.
But because of the darkness engulfed the whole place, she could not even know where, because there was no light, and she could not even think of where to take the husband at that point in time. And that was why she was lamenting, praying that she wished that the moon could appear, so that she could be able to see the light and to be able to have a kind of foresight to know where she can be able to take the husband to.
Wow. Let me continue. But now she found the half light of the incipient moon more terrifying than darkness.
Yes.
Mr. Eric, this is yes, more terrifying. Even what she was even longing for came eventually. But it was more terrifying than even the darkness. So she would have preferred the darkness to even the moonlight.
Yes, I used it to create a kind of challenge she was facing. In life, sometimes when you are praying for one thing to arrive, and once that arrives, it could be another starting point of another journey in time.
Yeah.
And that was exactly what happened. She was praying for the moon. But when the moon finally arrived, she back to the husband. There was nothing, no vehicle, no nothing that she could convey the husband to a medicine man, because there was a great medicine man in the village. There was nothing of such. And when she backed the husband, in the course of taking the husband to that great medicine man, there were so many difficulties she was passing through. There were a lot of anxiety and fears that was running through her mind. In the process, she could see even the spirit. They were haunting her in the process of trying to convey her husband to a place where he will receive treatment. So, for me to be able to create a kind of a clear picture in the reader's mind is to also make them understand that when the moon finally appears, it wasn't easy. And you cannot use a plain language to explain this. And that is why I woven the piece of words into connotative usage to paint a picture that will be so mean in the course of trying to understand what she was passing through in the course of conveying the husband to a great medicine man in the village.
Wow. Mr. Eric, let's go out on a very quick break again. We'll come back and see how we can forge ahead.
Okay.
And I hope you're still with us. I just hope your incipient moon, the moon you have been expecting, is not, more terrifying than the darkness. Anyway, we'll go out on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll take it from here. Welcome back to Behind the Words. In case you're just joining us, we have started flipping through the pages of the Tears of Destiny, a book that we started in our last episode. We read out the plot of this book, and right now we are here analyzing different parts of this very book. Mr. Eric, you're welcome back. Let me read on. The next sentence is that the world was now peopled with vague, fantastic figures that dissolved under steady gaze and then formed again in new shape. Mr. Eric, we need expatiation on this. Yeah, we need you to expatiate, because here you said peopled, which is an irregular usage,
Yes.
of a verb, changing people into a verb.
Yes.
Which I know writers like you will always have the liberty. Yeah, you have the license of doing so. I've read a book where somebody used we have difficulties, we have the difficulty, and the person used difficultly, with ly. So you guys have this yes.
You see, one good thing in writing, as a writer, you have this capacity, the ability to play with words on your fingertips.
Yes.
Now, you can change words to suit a kind of scenario you're trying to create. Now, sometimes in the course of trying to achieve what you want to achieve in life, there are also obstacles that are always trying to prevent you. And even if you are hardworking and you tend to overcome all these obstacles, believe you me, by the time you attain the success, sometimes life is more challenging than when you were not able to achieve the dream of what you wanted to become in life. Now, when Yoyina's father was ill, and when he was taken to the great medicine man in their own village, what was revealed to them, those people who were behind the difficulties that they were passing through in that particular village, was bigger than what their head could even carry. Now, you could see that despite the fact that the man was a hard-working person, when he was taken to the medicine man, there was some things that they asked them to present. And when she presented it, the man delved into incantation. And the outcome of the incantation was that the man was inflicted with a disease, which he may not survive it. So, at that point in time, the wife was devastated.
So instead of curing the what was wrong with him, he was also inflicted with another disease.
Yes.
Wow.
So that is to say that in life, sometimes when you are trying to ascertain a particular solution, you end up compounding life for yourself.
It's like from frying pan to fire.
Exactly. So sometimes for we to be patient, for us to be able to attain our own destiny by the will of our Creator, we try to see other means that shortcut in life that we can be able to achieve our own destiny. And in doing that, it will land us into a very big problem that at the end we'll find it very difficult to explain or to define. So in the course of taking the man, the problem was corrugated or escalated to a point that it becomes difficult for them to even to address the issue.
And he died eventually.
He died. If
All
you
right.
read or page through the novel, you could see.
All right. Let's move on. Here you said, let me continue. At one stage, she was so amazed that she nearly called a black cat for companionship and human sympathy. For companionship, a black cat.
Yes.
For companionship and human sympathy. This is you have painted something here. Companionship and human sympathy, and there's a black cat.
Yes.
What's the link?
Okay, the link is one was standing as a symbol.
Because yes, I could see
Yes,
symbolism there.
The cat was standing as a symbol. That is the dark cloud that before their own family. But in a typical African tradition,
Yes,
there is a clear meaning when you see a white cat and a black cat. There is also a clear difference when you see somebody appears in a black cloth and in a white cloth. Using a black cat could explain the state of mind of what the family were before of. Maybe if we use white cat, it could symbolize maybe hope or peace, for example. But using the black cat could create a kind of a dark shadow that was cast upon their own family. So that was why I used black cat to create the shadow that was cast upon their own family.
Yes, you have used a black cat to create the dark shadow that was casted upon the family. But then you said for companionship and human sympathy.
Yes. Now, when you face situations, you attract sympathy.
True.
And it is when sympathy is in place that you feel so sympathetic. And as a human being, if you want to be brave and strong and succeed in life, detach sympathy from your life and that will help you. But once you become to bring out your suffering and put it before people, you cannot attract any solution, but you can only be attached with sympathy. People, for example, you just lost somebody. Somebody will come and will begin to feel sorry, make you feel pains the more. Instead of to give you courage, sometimes you say, just see the way you look. I'm so sorry. You begin, even if you are not worried, you become worried.
True.
And at that point in time that the husband was passing through difficulties, the only thing she was exposed to was sympathy. No courage of hope. Nobody could even inject some words of encouragement in her. And she was so devastated because of the amount of sympathy that was placed before her. She lost her own thoughts and she could not even think. So once, as human being, once you attract more sympathy than hope, that means you lost everything. And that was exactly what happened. Many people that were able to come in contact with her to console her on what she was passing through, they were making her to feel pains more than giving her hope in life.
Wow.
And she was feeling more pain instead of having more hope.
All right, let's move on. What she had, what she had seen was the shape of a man climbing a horse, the head pointing to the earth and his legs skywards. But at that point, her voice rose again in her possessed chanting. The moon by now became clear. How a woman could endanger her life at night for the comfort of her husband. It was a miracle. Tears of gratitude filled her eyes. She knew God would save her husband for her. As the moon was shining ahead, her husband was lying down, saw her in a distance, and wept the tears of hope, wondering how a woman could be suffering at this kind of night for her husband.
Yes. Now, when the husband was taken to the great medicine man, after series of incantation and everything, at a point, the man feel relief, and he was asked to go home. Even the wife was advised to go home.
Was there hope, or they saw that his ailment is it's beyond it's irredeemable? I'll put it this
There
way.
was hope. But you see, sometimes in the course of trying to invest your confidence in someone, the person will end up disappointing you. The woman, she has so much confidence in that great medicine man. Just like sometimes as a family, you have your own family doctor, which sometimes you could believe in the person so much so that you can swear that this person cannot even tamper with any member of our family.
True.
So that was the same situation here. She believed in this man so much so that she could leave the husband in his hands without any negative thinking. So she was urged to go home, and she returned home, leaving the husband with the great medicine man. But you could see that there were some spirits that were appearing and disappearing, which were coming in form of cloud to also talk to the medicine man, because he was just serving as the mouthpiece. And in the course of creating the evil that could befall the family, there were people that were appearing in spirit who were also urging the medicine man to inflict the man with something that could lead to his own life or could end his life.
But Mr. Eric,
Yes.
why were these spirits appearing? Urging the medicine man to inflict the man with
Something that
something
could
that
lead to
would
his
lead.
death.
Yes.
Okay.
Why?
It's because the man everybody was envious of him. And so many things that were happening to him was not ordinary. That is to say that his own the elder brother was using so many means. He was a very dangerous person. And he has the capacity to even transform in an image. And that was the antagonist that was transforming into images in order to make sure that the younger brother died in the process. So when the younger brother was released, he was on his way. But because he was not having much strength that his leg could carry him home, at a point in the middle of the road, you could see that he was crawling. So the wife was at home, but she was not having a peace of mind. So she eventually delved into the road and started going where the medicine man was to ascertain what was taking time for her to see the husband. And in the process, she saw a man that was just scrolling like a baby afar, but the moon could project for her to be able to see, and she was able to detect that that was her. I mean, that was the husband. And she ran, and you could see, if you read through, the man was busy soliloquizing when you're talking to yourself,
Yeah.
as if somebody is with you.
Yes.
When he saw the wife coming afar, he was just soliloquizing, talking. How can a brave young woman, despite in the middle of this night,
Yes.
where things were so terrified in the village, she was able to have the courage. She has the courage to even come outside and was able to look for him. And she was indeed impressed with the kind of brave woman he has.
Right. Let's go out on another quick break. We'll come back and round it off.
Okay.
Yes. I hope you're still with us. We are still flipping through the pages of the Tears of Destiny. We have not gone far. The journey has just begun, and I hope you be still be with us so that we'll take you on a very long haul. We'll go out on a quick break. We'll come back and take it from here. Welcome back to Behind the Words. In case you're just tuning in, we have begun to flip through the pages of The Tears of Destiny, a book that we started reading out the plot in our last episode. And with me here is Mr. Eric, the wonderful writer of this very book. He has written so many of these books, and he has so many to come in future. Mr. Eric, you're welcome back.
Thank you.
Let me read on. My husband, I hope you are fine. I brought to you some oranges. Her husband looked deeply into her eyes and called, my vacuum cleaner, always breathing in my dust. Why that?
That was a kind of words he was using to comfort the wife, but they were put in poetic form.
True.
One good thing in writing is sometimes you use poetic language to explain ordinary meanings as they may appear on a paper, so that it could give more value to what you are trying to create. By using such words, he already injected some of strength in the woman. Because if you say a woman, she was just like a vacuum cleaner breathing in your own dust, you could see the picture of making the woman to feel as if she is everything in your life. And you see, women, they love praise. When you praise a woman, she could do more. While men like respect. And if you could see, when he was praising the wife, and that was why the wife could die because of the husband. And by praising the wife, by giving her so much praises, the wife was able to make sure that she could go to any length. And if you read through the book, you could see there are some places, there are some terrible shrines in that particular society that the woman makes sure she enter for her husband to become safe. There is nowhere she did not go, or in the name of to spare the life of the husband.
Mr. Eric, still on this my vacuum cleaner always breathing in my dust. I don't know if you have double intention on this very saying. I don't know if you have, but I was thinking, apart from the explanation, apart from showering her with words of adoration, like you put it here, I was thinking that maybe the man saw some inspiration, some vision that he was going to die. So, that was why he was telling her that she's his vacuum cleaner,
Yes.
always breathing in his dust.
Yes. You see, at a point in time, the wife was devastated. She was not having hope. she thought she lost the husband already. I quite agree with you, because at a point, the man was also trying to make sure that the wife there is encouraging her.
He was trying to spirit the
Yes,
woman.
despite the fact that all the wife could see at that point in time was dead. Notwithstanding, the man was also trying to make her believe that yet there is still hope. So he was injecting these words into her so that she could have that courage that yet, despite the fact that she could see death all over him, there's still hope. And that was why he was just throwing words in a jungle. You know, sometimes when, as a writer, you at a point in time you create words that could explain what ordinary could not appear into people's mind, so that you set them into a deep thinking, so that they will be carried away, but in the course of that they cannot understand what you are trying to create in future or in subsequent. It's because one thing in writing is suspense, and you create suspense where you make sure that at a point you digress, so that by the time you digress, you carry your own readers along, and they will be so curious to know what will be the end result. By focusing on a particular point that you are trying to raise, had there been I created a picture that could explain this is the state of mind of the husband, there is no hope, and there is no much courage that he could inject in the wife, perhaps the wife would have given up, and maybe he would have died in the process, because no help was coming from anybody except
truthfully.
the wife.
Yeah.
And another thing is that as human being, there is nobody that is attached to you most of the times like your own partner. No matter the pains you are passing through, as a man that is married, there is nobody that understands your circumstances more than your own wife. And that was exactly what I was trying to create, so that we could also see that even at the point of death, sometimes your wife could believe in you, or your husband could also believe in the word, so much so that, because once you become you are married, man and a wife, you become one body and one spirit.
True. Soulmates.
So they function hand in hand, and you could see both of them, even at the point of death, they were always together. You could also, if you read Romeo and Juliet,
Yes.
you could see the points where both of them could also even die on the throne of the lover. She drank the opium, thinking that the man she fell in love with was dead, only for him to wake up and realize that the lover was.
She killed herself because she thought he was dead.
So these are two things tied together.
Yes, that was why they said there is no story of more woe than that of Juliet and her Romeo.
Exactly.
Let me read the last sentence here. He said, the adoration prompted his wife to embrace her husband on the mat with tears in her eyes. You will leave my husband, and you will leave.
Now you could see that the words of encouragement that was injected to her by the husband was able to sustain her to have this courage that, of course, the husband will leave. And by also transforming the same words back to her husband, was also able to give the husband a kind of hope that there is still life in him.
Wow. This very passage we have read out is touching, actually. Yeah, it is touching because a lot of things happened here, and this very passage actually defines the real book and what actually happened in the book. It's as if it's the summary of the entire book.
Exactly.
Yes.
One thing in writing is you create a feelings that can be able to touch people. Sometimes when they read through your work, they will be touched. There are points in time that you could even read a particular story and you shed tears because you feel the pains of what either the protagonist is passing through. And I was trying to create a kind of picture that will touch people to feel the kind of pains they were passing through.
All right, Mr. Eric, let's not make our viewers to start shedding tears, you know. All right, thank you very much for being part of this this very program. We have always enjoyed your company here, and like we have started the Tears of Destiny now, we will continue to flip through the pages of the Tears of Destiny so that our viewers can really understand what Tears of Destiny is really about.
Yes.
Thank you very much. They said, tears are words that need to be written. Truthfully, Tears of Destiny is a book that needs to be read by you and I. So this is where we come to the end of today's episode. We will see you again in our next episode. Please use the social media platform showing on your screen. You can send in your thoughts, comments, observations, even questions. And if you are interested in being on this very show, please indicate by sending me a message and I'll bring you here. And until next time, bye bye for now.